Facebook Live. I'm Anna, here with Mark.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about a spectacular offer on spectacles. We are talking about encrypted messages, and we are talking about how not to spot phishing websites.
Okay, so talk to me about the first one. So there's been a scam on Instagram?
There has, amazingly enough.
Shocking.
So if I said you could have a $200 pair of Ray-Bans for $17.99, what would you say?
I'd say, yes please.
Okay. That would be the wrong response.
I'd say, no, it's a scam.
You would say it's a scam, but you would be forgiven for thinking that it might be legitimate because I'm the person saying it to you.
Yeah.
And that's what this Instagram scam is relying on.
Yep.
So there's an Instagram scam. It's saying that you can get 90% off a pair of Ray-Bans, and guess what? You can't get 90% off a pair of Ray-Bans.
Oh, shame. So how is it working?
So what's happening here is that people are receiving these messages from their friends.
Yep.
But of course they're not receiving them from, they're receiving them from their friends, but their friends don't know that they're proffering the messages.
Right, okay.
And that's because the friends' accounts have been compromised, probably through weak passwords.
Okay.
So, the web is awash with passwords that have been released in giant data breaches, and the criminals hoover up all those passwords, and then they try them on different services like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, just to see where else they can log in.
Okay.
And so, they log into a bunch of Instagram accounts, and then they use those to spread scams. And then, because it's coming from your friends, it has that sort of extra air of believability about it.
So how can I tell what's real and what isn't?
Well, you can't. Okay. So that's why these things work.
Yep.
If there was a really easy way for you to do it, then we could tell everybody, or Instagram could roll something out that helped you spot it.
Yep.
So unfortunately, common sense applies. But it's worth bearing in mind that there are two victims here. So the first victim is the person who's falling for the scam.
Yep.
And those people, it's just a matter of exercising a degree of common sense. So what we always say is, I forgot what we always say.
Do we say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is?
Brilliant. If it's too good to be true, probably is. We always say that.
I thought so.
If somebody walked up to you in the street and said, I'll give you 90% off a pair of Ray-Bans, you would probably act with a degree of suspicion.
Yeah.
Okay?
Of course,
You would think, if it's too good to be true,
it probably is. Okay, so what's your advice for people on Instagram and just in general?
Well, I just want to talk about the other victims as well. So that's the first set of victims.
Right.
The other victims are, of course, the people whose accounts are being used to spread these scams.
Yep.
And those people, if you find out that's you, change your password.
Yep.
Take control of your account again. Okay? And then think very hard about using two-factor authentication.
Yep.
So two-factor authentication is a code that you enter when you log in alongside your password, and that means that it's another thing that the crooks have to get if they want to scam your account.
And that can be set up how? In the Instagram settings?
Yes, if you go to Naked Security, and you'll see today the lead story is a story about 90% off Ray-Bans.
Yep.
If you go and read that story, you'll see we've spelled out the instructions of how to turn on two-factor authentication on Instagram.
Great. So that's the advice for people on Instagram. What about people that have already fallen victim to it?
So those guys, you have to wait for one of your friends to tell you that something fishy is going on, and those people, they just need to log back in and change their passwords, lock out those scammers. Yeah, and set up 2FA for that as well. Yeah. Okay, and then so that takes us on to our next. Yeah, so that's a little bit of consumer advice. Yep. So, but if you're sat there thinking, well, that couldn't happen to me, I'm not on Instagram, I'm a terribly serious business person, I wouldn't fall for something like that. Well, we've got one for you. So we're seeing a phishing email directed specifically at business people with the subject line "encrypted message received," and that email is a very, very short email, and it just contains a link to an encrypted message. Yep. And that takes you through to a Microsoft OneDrive page, and that's got a button on it. You click the button, and then that takes you through to a Microsoft OneDrive login page. Okay. And of course, you log in to receive your encrypted message. Yep. And the thing is, because none of it's true. Yeah. But it's got quite a lot of features of the sort of good, bad, modern, sort of well-executed phishing campaign. So the first thing is the email itself is very, very short and functional. And you see that an awful lot with phishing emails these days. That the crooks have figured out that one of the ways that we spot phishing emails is we look for mistakes like bad spelling.
Yeah.
So the shorter the email, the better, as far as they're concerned.
Yeah.
Because there's much less opportunity for them to make mistakes. And they know that companies like Google and Microsoft send these very, very functional emails about things like, okay, your message has been truncated because it's too big, or it's a confidential message or an encrypted message, you've got to log in. And so they're sort of leveraging the fact that these companies are now sending people links, which is something that we all say, please don't do that. If we're trying to train people not to click on links in emails, don't be a company that sends emails with links in.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are phishing emails. People click on the link, and they go to a perfect facsimile of a OneDrive page.
Yeah.
And again, if you're looking for mistakes to spot the phishers, you may be out of luck. It's entirely possible with the web for people to create perfect facsimiles.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why this OneDrive page would look any different from a normal one, and there isn't necessarily a way with this or any other scam for you to spot that it's a scam.
So it's not like it's going to be badly spelt emails?
Well, it might be.
Yeah.
But the thing
not
is,
necessarily.
if you see a spelling mistake or a very obvious error, that's a red flag, and you can assume it's a phishing exercise. But if you don't see it, if you don't see any mistakes, that isn't a guarantee that it's okay. So people can be forgiven for entering their login credentials into a sort of perfect login page.
Yep.
In this case, there is one giveaway, and that is that these fake pages are hosted on compromised websites. Mm-hmm. So the hackers basically break into someone's website, and then they use that to host the fake OneDrive page. So if you look at the URL and you see, joeblogs.com instead of Microsoft or Microsoft Live or Microsoft OneDrive,
it's probably
then
fake.
It's probably fake.
Yeah. So how can you tell if something's phishing then? You just can't?
You just can't.
Okay. But these phishing emails still work?
Well,
they
send them because they work.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons they work is because there is no one good way of spotting a phishing email.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the Instagram scam. If there was a clean, simple way of spotting these things and stopping them, then we'd all have done it by now.
Yeah.
But there just isn't.
So what can people do to avoid falling victim?
Well, firstly, again, good sense applies.
Yeah.
But a very useful thing that they can do is use a password manager.
Yeah.
So we tell people, use a password manager. We say that all the time. And we say that because password managers are very, very good for managing your passwords.
Yeah.
But actually they give you an extra layer of defense against phishing websites as well.
So password managers just store passwords for you so that you don't have to remember them?
That's right. So people are very bad at creating and remembering good passwords. So the way to get around that is to use a password manager, which is a piece of software that will do that for you. Mm-hmm. Now, a useful side effect of that is that the password manager is obviously trying to remember, okay, well that password goes with that website.
Yeah.
So if you turn up at a website that looks like a genuine article, but it isn't, the password manager isn't going to offer you the password for that website. So if you're a Microsoft Live user and you turn up to a OneDrive page and your password manager doesn't offer you the password, you should be thinking, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. Okay, but what about the padlock icon then? Is that...
I'm glad you mentioned the padlock.
Ah! It's almost as if I queued you up.
It is. So the padlock icon is the little green padlock that you see in the top left-hand corner of your browser next to the address when the address starts with HTTPS.
Yep.
And the padlock icon is there to tell you that you're using a secure connection. Mm-hmm. And last week, the FBI issued a warning, as they do and others do from time to time, just to remind people that padlock doesn't mean that the website you're using is trustworthy. Mm-hmm. What it means is your communication with that website is encrypted. So nobody can snoop on the communication as your your traffic rattles backwards and forwards down the internet between you and the website. That's all encrypted and nobody can spy on it. But it doesn't mean that the person that you're talking to at the other end isn't a scammer.
Yeah.
It just means that you're talking to that scammer in a very, very secure fashion.
Okay. So what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS?
So HTTP is the language of the web. It's how your computer talks to websites. It's the hypertext transfer protocol. And HTTPS is the secure version of HTTP.
Okay.
So it's exactly the same, but it happens over an encrypted TLS connection.
Yep.
And it used to be, back in the old days, that most of the web was on HTTP, and HTTPS was reserved for things like credit card logins and usernames and passwords and things like that. And HTTPS, it was quite difficult to set up because you have to buy a certificate, and the certificate would normally take you a day or so for the company to actually give it to you, and it would cost you a few £100.
Yep.
So there was quite a high barrier to entry, and not very many people were using it. But since Edward Snowden and his multitudinous revelations about NSA spying, there's been an enormous push to encrypt the web, and actually that push has been quite successful. So the majority of the web is now encrypted using HTTPS, and part of that big sort of effort to encrypt was the creation of services that allow you to create HTTPS certificates for free. So it's free to you, it's free to me, but it's also free to all the scammers setting up their phishing websites. So HTTPS, it's a good thing, the padlock is a good thing, but it means that the connection to the website is trustworthy. It doesn't mean the website you're talking to is trustworthy.
Okay. So in all this, what is your advice to people? To close.
I guess...
although we have got some questions or some comments, but
I'll start with my advice. And my advice is that basically it's difficult out there. Okay? So security software, password managers, spam filters, all of these things can really, really help, and they significantly lower your exposure. But the places that are left for the criminals to prey on you are the sort of techniques that rely on social engineering, that prey on the sort of the human aspect of all of this. So your propensity to trust things because they've got a padlock. You trust things because it's from your friend. You trust things because it's a login page that you recognise. So I guess I'm here to say, unfortunately,
don't trust
you can't always believe what you read, and you can't always believe what you see. There's a lot you can do to stack the odds in your favour, but you do have to go about your business in email and on the web with a significant degree of caution.
Okay. We've got some highs. Shakir says hi.
Hi.
David says hello from Memphis, Tennessee. Scammers bad, Sophos good.
Hello from Oxford.
Teresa Jamone says hello.
Hi,
Long
Teresa.
time, Teresa. She's been listening for a while. Someone says, I see loads of... and share this and comment. Okay, maybe we'll ignore that one. Teresa says, scams and phishes, sigh, such wasted talent and misdirected talent. Always be sceptical. That's right. Good advice. Always be sceptical.
Sound advice.
And that's about it. So,
okay, well, so perhaps we say thank you to Teresa.
Yeah, she should just come on.
A fantastic piece of advice to finish with.
Thanks, guys.